your Glasgow, by you, with you, for you. Be part of it with your art. Sign up for information, to speak, to sing, or to help us in any way. So here we are, blagging it as ever, pretending we're down in Glastonbury. I'm Nick Corston, I'm co-founder of a community enterprise called STEAMco, working with communities all over the country. This weekend we've got a massive event going on down in Somerset. We've literally built, as you can see here, a pyramid stage. We are going to build an art festival like no other. We're going to connect communities all across the country, and we are looking for your help. We want to do this with you, by you, with you, and for you. And that's what the Your Glasgow project is really very much all about. I just want to press a few buttons on here and see if I can connect with my assistant and production guru. Let me press that button there. Malumba, are you in the house? Can you hear us?
Guru?
We've got a real legend on today. But
have I suddenly been promoted?
Shush. Okay, artist in residence. I know you were the artist in residence, and it doesn't come higher than that, mate. So let's stick with that. How are you getting on this morning? You doing all right? How's it going in the production office there in Paddington?
In Paddington, yes, indeed.
How you doing?
Everything's good. Everything's good. I'm just about to run off and talk to some people about the weekend.
Oh yeah, you're looking for a beer sponsor, right? Is that the last shout?
Procure our, how would I call it? Our drink needs.
I don't know about our drink needs. We want to have a beer festival. We're partnering this with a bunch of people called BrewEd, and that's a bunch of teachers who on Saturday afternoons run teaching conferences all over the country. 30, 40, 50 teachers go in, they cap it at that sort of number, they pay a fiver, they get a free pint, and they do teacher training in pubs all over the country. And
what exactly do you mean by that? I wanted to ask you, what do you mean by teacher training?
Well, teachers
in a pub.
Okay, so teachers used to get trained by the local authority, and government changes and the way that the education stuff's been restructured now, they don't actually get quite as much funding for that as they used to. A lot of schools have been privatised, part of academies, and they do a certain amount of that, or a lot of that. But a lot of teachers feel they don't get the training, the networking they need, so they run their own little conferences on Saturday afternoons in pubs. They put a shout out. They usually sell out instantly. So they might have BrewEd Sheffield, BrewEd Cornwall, BrewEd Isle of Wight, or whatever. And they just stand up and share their ideas and what's working for them. So it's just good vibes. And also teachers are getting hammering at the moment. So it's all about vibes and building that connection as well. So you're going to try and get us a brewer. So basically what we want to do over the weekend is get 12 beers in a box. People can buy them maybe from their local supermarket. And we'll have a little tasting and just I think a little sip at a time, Malumba, eh? Because I think the last time our little big lunch we all got a little bit carried away with the West Indian rum, didn't we? Shall I let you crack on with that then? Because I've got Charlie coming on in a minute.
To know.
Actually, hang on.
Quite a packed afternoon yourself.
Actually, stay on the line. I'm gonna take you off the picture, but I'll tell you what. When Charlie comes on, you might find it interesting. You might have a few things to ask him. Is that cool? So carry on with what you're doing. I'll turn your mic down, and then we won't hear you typing or making calls. So I just want to run this video. I'm going to get Charlie Phillips on the phone, but I want to explain to you the context of this amazing man. This is a little film we made last year. STEAMco started in a school in Paddington 10 years ago, next year, all about bringing communities into school to inspire kids with creativity. We say that we connect our kids with their art and our communities with their schools. Now, before you run off and say art, that's all about paint. For us, art is creativity, tools and people, tools or technology and people. So a kid's art could be painting, it could be photography, it could be cooking or coding, it could be dancing or DJing or graphic design, it could be robots, it could be rockets. And that's what we've got to do. We've got to connect our kids with their art to help them find something they can be passionate about in life, something they could maybe make some money out of as a career, maybe they could make a few friends, and maybe they could make the world a better place. I mean, one of the cool people around, certainly around this part of the world, Norman Jay, for example, OBE or MBE, whatever, one of those things, he's got an E on there, and he accepted that. That's interesting. I'd love to be able to talk to him about that, because a lot of people are rejecting that, and I know Norman did that and gave that a lot of thought. And I actually thought, I think one of the best reasons for taking an award like that or an accolade like that is possibly to make your mum happy, to make your dad proud or your gran or whatever, and that's a good enough reason. And Norman would have had his own reasons for that, and that's totally cool. So So this film here is a little film we produced with some of what are called the Notting Hill Pioneers. These are the people that started Carnival all those years ago, 40, 50 years ago. And the point is that they have to pass the baton to a new generation. And we're going to meet two generations of Notting Hill Carnival pioneer today.
Get your freak on, 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 get your freak on.
If you love it, holla at me one time. Holla at me if you want the wickedest wine. I know it's been a while, but baby, never mind. Cause tonight, me, I give you the whole nine, yo. Satisfaction, a every girl dream. Me love to put it on, make them wriggle and scream. Me get a call from sexy Maxine. She leave a message from me inside machine. She said,
That's your shit. People you know, me and Timberland been high since 20 years ago. What the dealio? Now what the drillio? If you wanna battle me, then
your love lifted me higher than I've ever been lifted before. So keep it up with my desire, and I'll be at your side.
Okay, do that again, Charlie, sorry. It's microphone check. Charlie, can you hear me? That's fantastic. Okay, we can hear you, Charlie, loud and clear. So, what are your thoughts today, Charlie, on Windrush Day?
Windrush Day.
Windrush Day today.
It's very distorted. Yeah, I'm glad somebody's celebrating it, but there's more to it than there should be. A lot of most of the history has been distorted, and how it's going, I'm not really pleased. They have told the other side.
What's the other side, Charlie?
Yeah, a lot of people thought that we were invited here, and when we came here, we didn't have a welcoming committee. Understand? And I'm trying to put a blue plaque on a house in Blenheim Crescent. It was the first house I stayed in, yeah. And we didn't have a welcoming committee. A lot of us didn't come as destitute migrants. Yeah, we were invited here, and we thought we'd only spent about 5 years here, but I've overstayed my time, yeah. But I just it's very distorted. One of the things that even disturbs me a lot, some of the ex-servicemen who served and went back to Jamaica, 20 years later they wanted to come back to visit their children and their grandchildren, and they can't even get a visa. Yet the people who were there fighting against can get a visa to come back. Everything is it's all distorted, Nick. I'm sorry.
Charlie,
Very outspoken on this.
no, Charlie, I think this is your right, your privilege. You know, this is your history, and these are your people, and you're quite.
It is our history.
Charlie,
And
tell me about
it's
this.
been completely wiped out, Nick.
Charlie, tell me about the blue plaque that you mentioned a moment ago, because I know that's something you're very passionate
that blue
about.
plaque in number 9 Blenheim, it's a very historical house because Mosley used to keep his meeting and it was one of the first houses I stayed in. And the first night I came to England, I had to share a bed with 3 strangers who came off the same boat train as I did. Well, there was a man called Mr. Leopold Williams, and there was a man called Baron Baker, and he used to meet people from the boat train. And if no one had anywhere to stay, they'd put them up for the night till their family come and meet them, because sometimes the boat train would come in late or got cancelled. And if anyone got stuck, he'd go and meet them, and they'd stay there overnight, you know? Well, so it was one of the first community centres. Now, in about 1958, when the race riots started, Mosley used to keep his meetings out there. Market, there was 20 people staying in the house. And a lot of people, some of the people, especially in larger rooms, they have to have what you call hot beds. The people who work night shift will take the beds, for the people who work day shift. And how Rackman started, because Rackman saw a gap in the market where a lot of the Afro-Caribbean couldn't get accommodation, and he was the one who provided accommodation. So sometimes you have to big him up, because he was the only one who provided accommodation.
And this is a landlord, Charlie, was it you're talking about?
This is a landlord. He became notorious, but still he provided accommodation. It was slum, it was really slum. I can't call him a slum. He provided a roof over there. Some of the accommodation wasn't, appealing, but it was something to get a lot of us started.
So number 9 Blenheim Crescent, Charlie, what would you write on that plaque if we could convince somebody to put a blue plaque up to celebrate?
Well, I'm convincing a few people to put a blue plaque, but it's now not in a gate. It's not a ghetto anymore. It's been gentrified. Yeah, this is why I can't even afford to live there anymore. Even though it was one, I'll still visit it because it's my turf still. And I'm trying to get in touch with the landlord, which I did yesterday. His name's Lee, and we're going to write him a letter. But it's a very important house. It's a very important house as far as London history, and it's been written off. And I'm trying to get an installation there, of the Caribbean living room at the time. Yeah, this is in the 50s.
So you how old were you when you came to London then, Charlie?
I was 10 and a half when I came here.
And your point, and your point was you didn't feel very welcome, no?
Well, I remember later on we get chased by the Teddy Boys, we get harassed by the police, and when I was a teenager, we get stopped. Yeah, we never had no one to complain to, because they'd accuse us of telling lies. Well, you find a lot of people in my age group now beginning to tell their story, because and this is what I'm gathering, from people who's been been unjustly treated, both by the police and by the Teddy Boys. And outside the house, Mr. Mosley used to keep his meeting out there, because there was about 10, 20 people living in that house, but changing shifts because we never had nowhere to stay. And if you look at some of the photographs as well, we never came here as any destitute migrants. While we were coming, the sacrifice a lot of people made because they believed in the mother country. You get that? The mother country. It's absolutely amazing. I'll tell you part 2 about that another day when I was a Wolf Cub. Yeah? And what happened, if you look at some of the photos, we were destitute immigrants. We all paid our fare. Our fare was between £45 and £60, and the sacrifice a lot of people made by selling their land, their property, their goats, the cows, everything to come here, because we all thought we'd spend 5 years. When the mother country called, we answered. Same like in the war, yeah.
Yep.
And what happens? What's disgusting is, 2 ex-servicemen from the Windrush went back, and 30 years later they wanted to visit their grandkids. And they couldn't get a visa.
That's terrible.
This is untold story. And what's been left out, what's been really left out, while we were coming in, nothing has been mentioned about the British migrants who were migrating to Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Canada for £10 passages. They were assisted. All they had to pay £10 to get to the other side of the world. So there was a mass migration as well from England. So it's got to be balanced up, Nick. Yeah, Nick, history isn't just one way. It's been distorted.
Absolutely, Charlie. And
what's confusing me, especially in the cultural world, it hasn't been acknowledged. What we've contributed culturally, like one of the biggest events in Notting Hill is the carnival, and you think the institution would have embraced it. What other country in the world that events that attracts 1 million people? If this was in Beijing or New York, the institutions or the people who's in charge of the culture of London would have embraced it by now.
Absolutely.
They distort it, because nobody has looked in the cultural side. It's part of your history as well. It's part of British history as well, because if we never celebrated our freedom, we wouldn't be having carnival. But the history and the artistic side has been distorted.
And you were
It's only a few years ago they discovered that in our community we have artists, we have writers, we have intellectual, but we haven't been given a platform. Yeah, and yet we paid for it. You go in some of the cultural institutions. Am I getting political for you now?
No, Charlie, this is free speech.
Political.
You say what you want to.
You go in some of the cultural institutions and we're misrepresented. Yeah.
What do you mean, Charlie? What do you mean? What do you mean by that, Charlie? Tell me what you mean.
We're misrepresented. We're only there to tick the box now and again, i.e., when we have Black History Month. But if you go in the cultural institutions in England and in London, yeah, the only people you see is the cleaners or the stewards or the catering staff. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fact.
I hear you, Charlie. Charlie, do you remember?
We're coming up to the 5th generation now, Nicky, and we're still underrepresented culturally, artistically, socially.
I think what's interesting for me, Charlie, was
I've got nothing to celebrate about Windrush. I'm sorry.
Charlie, you know the Black Lives Matter thing that's been in the news. Have you seen that? You've seen that, yeah?
Well, it just shows that after 70 years, there shouldn't be such a thing.
But what a lot of people forget, you talk about.
This is part of the Windrush aftermath. After 70 years, I didn't expect that young kids would be demonstrating about black lives. Because nothing is mentioned in the prison system, in the mental health system, in the detention. Yeah, right now they're celebrating Windrush. Yet right now nobody talks about how many people are in detention.
Yeah.
Let's not get political. Keep it cultural.
Well, okay. Well, let's keep it cultural. You came to Parliament a couple of years ago and spoke at our event, didn't you? You remember that? And that was the first time.
Right. Thanks for inviting me,
Charlie.
I meant to thank you, bro. Thank you for giving me that platform. Thanks for giving me that platform because, as I said, we're not well represented as how we should. Hello?
I'm here, Charlie. I'm here.
Thanks for giving me that platform, Nick, because, and one of the things that keeps me going, this generation is so keen to hear the history. I've had white kids coming to me, thanking me because they didn't know people like me existed. You understand?
So, Charlie...
Yeah, as you can see from a talk I gave in the Parliament, yeah? And but we've been kept out of a lot of things, and this is why I refuse to do anything, the propaganda they put on for Black History Month. I refuse to participate in that, yeah, because that's just to tick the box. Yeah, we are part of your history, whether you like it or not, and we should be more inclusive.
Well, the thing that
the British history.
Charlie, what got me that day was that was the first time you had ever been invited to Parliament. You told me.
Thank you for giving me that platform.
But I don't want.
Sometimes I'm very outspoken, Nicky, and I've been accused of being a troublemaker and all that. So this is why I do my own thing. I'm stop knocking on doors now. If people want it, but the only thing that keeps us going, Nick, is I'm surprised to see a lot of young people, 18, 19-year-old, who looks on my website and they never knew I existed. This is about black and white kids, and sometimes I get invited to the art school, the London School of Printing and St. Martin's schools, just to talk to young kids. That's the only thing that keeps me going. I thought I'd have a nice, peaceful retirement, Nicky. They got me out of retirement. All I wanted to do, Nicky, was to spend more time in my allotment and catch up on my reading. And I still haven't finished reading War and Peace yet.
Oh, I don't know. Charlie, you also said in Parliament that when you were young, you didn't have access to the arts. Tell us about that.
No, we still haven't got access as well we should. Yeah? Nowadays, when they do give you a bit of access, I'm still waiting. One day they'll give me a retrospective. But nowadays, when they do give you access, you're being marginalized for Black History Month. Yeah? I mean, I just turned down three interviews. Yeah, because they've come to terms that I've existed, documented Notting Gate for the last 50 years, yeah? And I'm glad Simon Sharma rediscovered me.
Oh, he did it, did he? Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, and they said, oh, come, we never heard. Yeah. And he had to insist that some of my work went up in the National Portrait Gallery. But apart from that, we're still being marginalized.
So Simon Sharma had not heard of you, Charlie, and he's an art
He heard
historian.
of me and I'd done a documentary, man. He was
Wow.
the one who put me on the map.
Wow.
He gave me 5 minutes of fame, put it that way. Yeah, you can look it up. Yeah.
Andy Warhol would have given you
He gave
10.
me 5 minutes of fame, which I haven't properly thanked him yet. Yeah. But since then, I just can't stop because there's lots of young kids, and that's what keeps me going, Nick. Lots of young
Well, Charlie,
kids, this generation who looks up on me as an uncle figure and says, sorry, we never know you existed. Yeah, you can look on my Instagram or something. Well, somebody put me on Instagram as well and all that.
Charlie,
I'm kept up with the computer world.
the thing.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Hey, the good thing. So the thing that I find interesting, we're doing this event this weekend. We're doing a Glastonbury event, and we're going to have 3 days.
Right, about time too. Nice one.
Friday is going to be for young people, Saturday is going to be for the parents, but Sunday is for the seniors and people like you. And what you're saying here is very important. And we've got this kind of theme that in 1975, 76, 77, when Mick and Joe had started the Clash in Walterton Road.
Yeah. Joe's probably done a nice contribution to our community, sadly missed.
Tell me about that, Charlie.
In fact, when we had the exhibition for him in underneath the flyover, we thought that would have been a permanent place to show the history of Notting Hill. You know the amenity trucks.
Oh yeah.
The Joe Strummer exhibition, he was one. He brought a bit of life, and I thought there would be more continuous exhibitions there. Because Notting Hill is so rich of culture and history, and it's been overlooked. All they're perfect to do is open coffee bars now.
So tell me what that punk thing meant, because that was seen as a very white musical revolution.
Because both the punk and the reggae all started in Notting Hill. Notting Hill, but it's been overlooked. And the thing I'm so proud of you, Nick, you've brought art to a grassroots level. Do you understand?
Thank you,
Take
Charlie.
your things out there on the street. The people who's in charge of the culture of London is very selective, and they've become a cultural elite, and they have overlooked contribution like yours, like Joe's, from an urban point of view. Yeah, we've got to tell our heart. We've got to tell history we've got to show our culture from a grassroots level. You understand what I mean, Nick?
Absolutely, Charlie. And you keep saying.
This is why I'm proud of you. This is why I'm proud of you, because I've seen you take your art on the streets and show it everywhere. But the so-called institution overlooks you because, the piranhas out there can't monopolize or they can't make money on your work. It's not about that. It's about showing people history through their art.
Well, thank you, Charlie. That means a lot. It really does. And
it does. I'm glad that you brought it out to working class people. Yeah. Half of the time, the so-called cultural institution, it's unaffordable for especially working class people. Can't afford to go there because the average working man can't afford to pay £3 for a cup of coffee and £4 for a slice of carrot cake.
Yeah.
And when I had that exhibition, I took some of my neighbors, and it's the first time they ever been into a museum. A lot of working class people still didn't know some of the museums existed. You go there and you feel some people feel uncomfortable. This is what working class. You shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
You're being priced out most of the time. Half of the time you're being priced out.
And let's face it, the Tate Modern, the Tate itself, people forget, is from Tate and Lyle, which is from
Leave that out for the time being, because I must say you've got that Maria. I think she's trying her best, and give her time. Yeah.
Maria at Tate, Maria Balshaw.
Yeah.
She's doing good work.
I hope she changes, and I hope it's not just to tick the box. I can't really comment. We'll give her time. I'll see how she works out in the next 3 or 4 years.
And we are not anti-institution.
Some of the other museums are to wake up now, I must say. But with the Tate, give her time, because nice what she done to Steve McQueen and other.
Oh yeah,
appointed. It's nice to see a person of color a couple of years ago won the Turner Prize, But still, give her time. But they're 50 years late as far as I'm concerned.
Hey Charlie, let me stop you there.
Has got to
let me stop you there.
Political now, Nick, because they're already blacklisted me at certain points, and accused me of being a troublemaker. So.
Well, Charlie, let me stop you right there because I'm not anti-Tate. I'm not anti. Maria Balshall's doing great work. Steve McQueen, fantastic work. The only point I would make is that the Tate was funded by sugar and plantations and slavery.
Into politics,
so it's not about politics.
Because I think
and they do good work.
Shouldn't be paid to go into Tate.
Yeah.
The history of it has been, and sometimes it gets a bit sensitive. But,
Absolutely.
You have to sort yourself out.
We can't.
I'm looking for complimentary admission.
Yeah.
Half the time I have the gate crash or go on somebody's guest list.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, but give her time.
Yeah.
And I hope other institutions will follow suit.
We can't rewrite the past, but we can understand it and make sure we move forward constructively.
We
and
move forward. That's right, Nick.
The thing I believe, Charlie, and the theme we're going to have at your Glasgow Festival this weekend is we need to focus on the 80% that we all have in common and not argue about the bits on the sides, because for some reason all the politicians want us to argue about left versus right, and in fact that 80% in the middle, we all have so much in common. Would you agree?
Yeah.
And
anyway, Nick, I've got another appointment. Yeah.
Okay, Charlie.
I've got another talk to do this afternoon.
So I'm gonna get Gaz Mail on now. You got any words for Gaz or Les or any of the crew?
Oh man, tell him to keep on rocking. And I want to know when he's going to open up again. Yeah. He's been left out of history as well. The contribution he's done from a grassroots level, making music in Notting Hill, it's been overlooked.
Absolutely.
So we don't know who's in charge of the culture of London. They've got to look at it from the urban art, and the grassroots, like yourself.
Charlie, have you got
keep the culture alive, Nick?
Charlie,
keep history alive.
Are you able to
keep the art alive?
Are you able to watch this on the internet, Charlie? Have you got a computer at home there?
No, I haven't got a computer because I'm computer illiterate. Yeah.
Okay.
Send me the link, and I'll get somebody to watch it with me this afternoon.
Charlie, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll see if I can get you a tablet or an iPad, and you can look at it yourself.
Send it to my email, and I'll get. I've got volunteers. You see, one of the things that keeps me going, Nick, I've got so much volunteers because some people think I'm a living legend, and they've got to keep Uncle Charlie alive. So I've got volunteers who look at my computer and who read my emails for me.
Well, that's good. Well, we're here for you, Charlie. You're a legend. You're an inspiration. Thank you for your time. And can we speak to you this weekend from Glastonbury and share some of your Glastonbury memories?
Anytime.
You went to Glastonbury, didn't you, back in the day?
I've done 40 Glastonbury's festival. It used to be when it was a working class festival. I've done 40, 45.
And who did you get a lift off? Who did you go down there with? Back in the day.
I went with some kids from Notting Hill with Arabella Churchill. I'm glad that they've honoured it, but that's changed now. It's not for working class people anymore. Yeah, nowadays you don't see any battered Ford Cortinas and Volkswagen. It's all Range Rovers and BMWs. Yeah, it's all changed. And the audacity of it. Yeah. When we first started, the abuse we used to get. And look at it now. One of the major events worldwide. And I'm proud of Michael because it's taken him years to get off the ground. Well, he doesn't even talk to me anymore anyway, but still. But Emily, I hope Emily will make a good job of it.
Well, it's their 50th birthday, Charlie. Last words. What would you say to Michael Eavis and Emily Eavis, 50th anniversary of Glasgow?
Give him my regards, but tell him don't forget the grassroots people who helped him when he first started, because I used to take the T-shirts and the leaflets. I used to distribute the leaflets. And tell him to give the working class people free milk, like.
Free milk.
Seriously, you can't even get hold of him anymore, Last time I met him was at a talk in the festival hall. He remembers me, but people move on, I guess.
Yeah, Charlie.
How it started, and I'm honoured that he named the bridge after Arabella Churchill. Yeah, she's been left out of history as well as Notting Hill. Yeah, because in the old days she took a lot of kids down from Notting Hill. That's how Glastonbury first started. It used to be a free festival. A lot of people don't know that.
Absolutely, I know.
And I used to go down there for a working holiday. Yeah, and take some kids down. And it's all changed after Rick Wakeman. Yeah, because in the old days you just give a donation. It's amazing. And what irritates me is some of the people who appears in Glastonbury now to be seen, they don't know who they are. They don't know who they are. They don't know who they are. And what irritates me is some of the people who appears in Glastonbury now to be seen, they don't know who they are. 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 They don't know 20 years ago, they used to turn their nose up on it. Yeah? Every jumped up pop artist want to go there now. Yeah? Anyway,
Charlie,
that's another discussion, Nick.
you take
I've
good
got to
care.
go 'cause somebody else is waiting to do an interview.
You're amazing. We're going to get you recognised, Charlie. Thank you so much. I'll speak to you later. Take care.
Thanks for having me, and keep
Stay
the culture
safe.
alive, yeah?
Yeah. Take care.
Keep the history alive from a grassroots level. And I'm glad to see working class people coming to see a thing, yeah? We've been left out of the cultural institution as taxpayers as well. Take care.
One love. Stay safe, Charlie. One love. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Wow. What a legend. What can you say? How do you follow that? My goodness. Well, the only way I can think of following that is with the next generation. I mean, this poster here we did with Charlie down at the Tabernacle there in Notting Hill, which is the cultural centre in Notting Hill, where the carnival is organised from by a committee of dedicated volunteers and some full-time members there with Arts Council funding and some lottery funding. They struggle to get funding. They struggle to get sponsorship because it's not big brand, it's not big business. I don't know, but you know, we've got to fight for carnival because it's, as you heard there, it's one chance for representation of that West Indian culture and community. But it's not just West Indian culture and community, it's broader and it's diverser than that. And that's where art and culture is so important, because it brings us all, as the farm would say, all together now, if you like. I'm going to see if I can get Gaz Mail on now. Gaz is driving, I know he's driving at the moment, and I told him to hang on about, to stay on the line, to get off the motorway and make a call for 10 to 1, so he might have got back on the road now. I'm going to give him a call. While I do that, I'm just going to play this film. That's Charlie there with his Isle of Arts sign, bless him. Utter legend. And I'm just going to play a film of Notting Hill Carnival last summer, the Gaz Mail stand. Again, Arts Council funded. The Arts Council are doing a lot of good work to fund and to bridge that gap. A lot of work on diversity and inclusion now. We're grateful for an emergency grant from the Arts Council, from the National Lottery, and everybody who's helping us out with our community lock-in here, the UK Art Takeover, the Your Art of Community 20 festivals. We're doing 5. We did Eden Project, we're doing Glasgow, we're doing Camp Festival, we're doing Carnival for Gaz Mail. So we're doing Gaz Mail's stage in our community lock-in and live streaming, and then we're doing, at the end of the summer, going to Leeds to the Parklands Primary, a school on a really challenged estate up there, the Seacroft Estate, but that's a community driven by art, driven by community, driven by creativity, driven by a brave school leader, our dear friend Chris Dyson up there. So I'm just trying to find the number for Gaz, but what I'll do is I'll just cut to Gaz Mail's stage last year, which we collaborated on, proud to collaborate on, with Portobello Radio, run by Chris Sullivan, Piers Thompson and Greg Weir. Amazing work they do in the community.
We love everybody out there on the streets. We love to keep it warm, keep it good, and keep it Portobello Radio.
So Gaz is, I think Gaz is still driving. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. Actually, I've got a little film here, which if you've just come into this, just to see Charlie, you probably won't have seen what we've been doing with the Your Glasgow event. At the start of this stream, we had a film where we showed a black fist, which was actually a piece of artwork that I saw on Saturday, painted, designed by a teaching assistant in Bolton, of all places, an Asian lady. And that was auctioned after that event, and we made a small donation, but it was actually purchased by a teacher, trainer, consultant, Rob Smith, who's up there, I think in Lancashire or borders with Yorkshire. I probably just got that totally wrong. You never call a Lancashire man a Yorkshireman and vice versa, so that's just totally screwed it with Rob. And we're going to be displaying that poster with other posters. We're going to have a creative collage on the back of our Glastonbury stage, because as you're going to see in the film now, we have built a Glastonbury pyramid stage, which we're going to be using as the world's biggest art gallery this weekend. I'm just a dad, and I passionately believe that the future for our children, our communities and our country lies in one thing: creativity. It can inspire our kids in their learning. It can create careers and connect communities. 10 years ago, after a trip to a festival, Camp Festival, I went back to my son's primary school and started a non-profit community enterprise called STEAMco with other parents, teachers and local businesses. We ran mini creativity festivals. STEAMco helps connect our
Oh, hello,
kids
mate,
with their
you're there.
art and our communities
Cool.
with their
Have you
schools.
got much data on
Last
you at the
weekend in
moment?
that same
I'll phone back on
playground,
FaceTime
I
if you
filmed
have.
an amazing set by the legendary Glenn Matlock.
Okay, I've just got
co-founder
video
of
running at
Sex
the moment,
Pistols,
and to access
and
FaceTime I might have to
amazing
wait for that to
global
finish.
rock
Can you
star
just stay on the
who
line
used to
then?
play
I'll get that
David
sorted and I'll come
It
to
will
you.
be their performance at an event
Okay,
we've
I'll come back
just
to you on
been
FaceTime,
given
hold on.
permission to run in the playing fields of a school just down the road from Glastonbury. We're calling it #YourGlasto. It's one of 5 free 3-day Art of Community festivals that we're running all summer with the help of the Arts Council and funding from the National Lottery. Our first one was live streamed from Eden Project at the end of May and featured inspiring talks, uplifting performances, creative activities and community engagement. We had a fantastic performance by the blind and disabled young woman Kirpa from Leeds. We had a great Saturday night set from Emily Capel, and Gaz Mail even Skyped in from his hideaway in Wales. We had a right old laugh watching Rosemary Schrager teach Levois to cook, and we all split our sides with Basil Brush.
Technology is an amazing thing.
Punk icon Jar Wobble chatted with a grandad in Liverpool. On Sunday we had a little big lunch, and after that rockstar activator Tom Morley led a co-drum circle with hundreds of people all over the world. And we had a couple of great late night dance parties where people could Skype in with a green screen background and end up on the dance floor. As the CEO of the Arts Council has said,
let's ask, what if? Let's start a creativity revolution.
let's create our Glasto, my Glasto, your Glasto. Oh no, what have they done? What on earth is this? That's not what we ordered. Hey mate, what are you doing?
Whoa, what are you doing, mate? It's out of that area.
Oh, sorry, I've got a helmet, hang on. I mean, what are you doing setting up a scaffold pyramid stage?
Well, I've got my paperwork here to come here and deliver it. Really? Yes.
Well, we've got to take it down.
Take it down.
We wanted one made out of old cardboard boxes and loo rolls to inspire our kids to be creative. We want them to make their own at our Your Glasto festival next Friday.
Right, okay. Don, we've got to take it down. We're going to be all day. We're going to have to hurry up then because I want to get and watch football tonight.
Thanks, guys. Wow, that was a close one. Hopefully those guys can take that down now, but I don't know what we're going to do about cardboard. Let me see if I can get hold of Malumba. Oh, there he is.
I just saw what happened on Twitter. That's hilarious. I'm looking forward to what we're going to do with all that cardboard.
Well, we've got to make a stage out of cardboard. Do you remember that? Well, who was that guy you had on last week? Who made
Will Alexander? Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna cut from that. Sorry, I think I had my microphone on when I was chatting to Gaz there, didn't I? So I've actually now just got to connect him on the Wi-Fi via this hotspot. So bear with me while I do that. I didn't bank on having to do this, so let me just change the Wi-Fi hotspot. I think we'll have to have a whip round to get Charlie a tablet or something, so we can actually watch Glastonbury on his tablet, because I know he's in bed at the moment, he's not too well. Let's have a look here. Come on. Right. Oh, come on. It's always the same, isn't it? Yeah, Wi-Fi hotspot doesn't want to show up when you want it. Come on. Here we go. Right, so I'm going to go live to Gaz Mail, who's parked up in a lay-by. Oh, Portobello Radio looks professional compared to this, doesn't it? I know an old Piers is going to clip me around the ear for saying that. I know, but I'm only joking. Let's have a look. Okay, let's do a video call there. Now, it's a bit random, these iPads, because you can't always, iPhone's connections, you can't always, oh, what's going on? You can't always hear the audio. Can you hear that there? Hello, Gaz. Right, the audio's not coming through that, so I'm going to have to clip that on there. Hang on a sec. Put your phone sideways, Gaz, will you? Widthways?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not working. So you have to hold your phone upright. Sorry, mate, it doesn't seem to work that way. That's fine. How you doing? We just had Charlie on, actually.
Lovely, yeah. Charlie's great, man. Been friends a long time.
Sends his love. Sends his love.
Excellent. Well, send mine.
So we're talking today. It's Windrush Day, as I think you know, Gaz.
Yeah.
A lot of people are probably, hopefully, locked into this now. Tell them who you are, your story, your connection to West London and the culture of that area and the Windrush vibe.
Well, I think probably everybody knows about it, unless you've got people viewing from abroad. But Notting Hill, where I kind of grew up since I was 12, 13, that is probably the first area in the UK that was like where, you know, huge amount of black immigration was from Trinidad and Jamaica, which were British colonies, and in the rise for independence in those areas, they were British citizens, so they were not only welcome with their British passports to be in the UK, but they were actually actively encouraged after the war to fill the shoes and some of the essential services vital for the infrastructure of London. So loads of people came over, and the Windrush is the most famous boat that kind of sparked the whole entourage that was to follow. And a lot of those people needed somewhere to stay, and they came to the Bohemian area of West London, particularly Notting Hill. And that's part of London I moved to when I came down from up north with a brief stay in southeast London. When I moved to Notting Hill and went to Holland Park School, kind of like one of 2,000 in the comprehensive, Holland Park Comprehensive, it seemed like you had every kind of race and country and type, both from, you know, money backgrounds and poor backgrounds, from every walk of life represented in that school. Particularly a strong element of Jamaican offspring, and we had music and stuff in the playground. It's quite a with it school. They abolished school uniform just as I got there, and basically steeped in the culture of Notting Hill, Portobello Market, Ladbroke Grove, and then didn't take long to learn that, you know, about the kind of immigration and then the race riots in the late 50s before my time. Well, as an accolade to Windrush, my sound system, Notting Hill Gate Carnival, we built a boat, and, you know, the Windrush, we recreated that on a grand scale, and had bands from particularly Jamaican bands and famous artists that pioneered the modern day music via, you know, the birth of reggae, via ska and, you know, rock steady and all that. And we had all of that represented on the boat. We had bands from all over the world, actually, including New Orleans in America, which has been multicultural for way longer than London, and they've had their big Mardi Gras celebrations from the 1800s, way before Notting Hill Carnival. And so we kind of had an element from there. We had the ska band, the ska Avengers came from India, and they are fantastic, all dressed up, amazing sound, lots of original music. Winston Francis, Dennis Al Capone, Owen Gray, lots of legends of reggae music. And we've always kind of honoured the multicultural history of Notting Hill, of Britain, and via our Notting Hill Carnival stage and stand there, Gaz's Rocket and Blues sound system. Sadly, we won't be able to be there this year because of the pandemic.
Well, physically, but we're going to do a live stream event from here. Yeah, you still up for that?
Celebrating.
Is that your signal that's gone, Gaz?
And maybe it's back again now. And not great connection. I'm in the country at the moment during the lockdown. The main part, even though I've got to get back to London for some business today. But so you're marking the moment, the 72nd anniversary of the arrival of the Windrush with Lord Kitchener, and how many people were on that boat?
Gosh, I don't know.
Anyway, but their families and offspring, and I dare say they've got a lot of relatives who arrived in that boat are still in Notting Hill.
A lot of people think of people.
Poor connection.
Don't worry, we can hear you. That's all that matters.
Right.
Oh, we have lost you.
Well, it's a shame we didn't have a better reception, but nevertheless, it's nicely called me.
So we can hear you, Gary. We can hear you. It's cool. We can hear you. Talk just quickly about because Notting Hill Carnival's synonymous with reggae and West Indian music. What talk about your sound system and the vibe that you try and capture there?
Yeah.
Because we're two white guys talking here about the Windrush, which is a bit random for some people, I think.
Not really. I mean, it's a ship that arrived here, British citizens, 72 years ago from the West Indies, and their offspring are alive and well in Notting Hill today. I've been doing a sound system there from about 18. We've had the sound system there since 1890, and have live music on there as well, featuring a lot of pioneers reggae.
Gaz?
All kinds of great music that are all relevant to you. Yeah.
So really, your sound system is very diverse. It's multicultural. It's not about one genre of music or one colour of skin, is it? Really?
No. Well, we've got all the records from the 50s. What they were playing in Jamaica on the 50 sound systems, like Tom the Great Sebastian sound that Prince Buster and Duke then started with, and they've got a lot of rhythm and blues from the 50s, old school black dance music that inspired the world. So you've got the birth of ska from the late 50s, early 60s. You've got all that ska music. You've got rock steady and loads of reggae from the early reggae that we're playing right the way through to more modern stuff, but even sneaking a bit of bass. But we're trying to keep those flames flying of the early days, the backbone of sound. So we're playing 60s soul music, 60s rhythm and blues, 70s funk. So you're not just hearing like Trinidadian music and Jamaican ska and reggae.
I think we're losing.
We're even banging a bit of jazz or whatever, and cumbia music as well from Colombia.
Fantastic, Gaz. You're still up to join us this weekend, are you, at the Your Glasgow event and get some people together?
Yeah, definitely do something or other. I'm not sure exactly where I'll be just yet, but you know, put me into it, and yeah, I'd love to be involved in that.
Brilliant. Well, we had a lovely time the other night when you played the piano in your friend's place, didn't you? Which was superb. So I don't see why
yeah, Johnny Scullamore's. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, nice setup. That was fortunate. Such short notice that I was able to find a pal nearby with a real piano. So I didn't bring my electric one with me here, so that was it was amazing we managed to pull that off.
Well, to be honest with you, Gaz, this is all a bit of a tease, to be honest, because we're going to smash it with you at the end of the month in August. We're going to do a big thing with Gaz's Rock and Blues stage at Carnival here in the community lock-in. We'll get some data, we'll pay your phone bill, get you some credits on there.
We'll definitely do something this weekend. Got a Mark Asbury. I've already had a little kind of, I'm a subspace Glastonbury type do up here around the campfire. That was lovely.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And Chris
I've already been getting in the mood for it.
Chris Sullivan's been giving it some large. So he's got Glenn Matlock and Earl Slick. They're playing headlining Saturday night. So that's the Punk 1.0 to inspire tomorrow's punks, if you like. And we're announcing some other people today. So we'll get back to you on that. Thanks a lot, Gaz. Great to speak to you.
And you.
Cheers, man. Take care. See you, mate.
Wind project. Love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good vibes. All right, Gaz. Cheers, man. Bye-bye.
Ciao. Bye for now.
Wow, it's Legend Central today, isn't it? Legend Central. Let's click that mic back on there. Cool, you pay 50 quid for, you know what? You pay 50 quid for an iPhone connector like that, and it doesn't put the audio through the wire. You still have to. How does that work? If there's any experts on there on how iPhones work, you can tell me how that works. So I'm going to wrap up now, but I'm going to leave with the film. So you saw the film earlier of the session we did down at Notting Hill Carnival Pioneers Festival. So every year at the end of August is Notting Hill Carnival, which is one that gets all the attention, all the buzz and blah, 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 and all the media hate sometimes and the media love and whatever. But 2 weeks before that is an event in Horniman's Pleasance, which is just around the corner at the foot of Trellick Tower there, in a massive park where the community get together and celebrate the pioneers, the men, the women who founded Notting Hill Carnival all those years ago, the Windrush generation, represented by people like Charlie you saw speak today and heard speak today, people like Les Hall who leads the Notting Hill Carnival Pioneers. I had a chat with him about a year ago and he said, look, can you come down and do a little pop-up, because we need people like you to get the parents involved, to get the kids involved, to bring the community together, because we've got all the food sorted and we've got lots of stalls, but we need some creativity, we need some art. So we celebrated people like this, Charlie Phillips, who's on one of our I Love Art posters. We've had 1,000 of these posters printed, and if you want to get involved, if you want to do one of these with your community, with your family, here's a family that did one for us down at the Tabernacle. So they got 4 on that one. It's fantastic. Lady's a fantastic photographer, all part of the Greg Weir posse. Portobello Radio, massive Tabernacle. All you need to do is go to our website, #ILoveArt, and download this sheet. Download this sheet, fold it in half, and draw a heart logo in there. So just get a felt pen, draw a heart, paint it, collage it, cut it out, do whatever you want. Take a picture, stick it up on the internet, #ILoveArt, #YourGlasto, #ArtConnects, whatever you want to put on it. Go to our website, Your Glasto, all the instructions there. You can send these off and you can get these printed. They're 15, 20 quid or something, which is not cheap. We had 1,000 done for free by JR in New York. But we've got the software. We can give you a link to the software. You can just print this. If you've got access to any printer, even a little A4 printer like that, we've got software that cuts it all up, and then you can stick them all on a bit of old cardboard. Let's do this DIY. Let's keep it lo-fi. And we want to see people designing those, because we're going to display those up on the wall, up on the back wall of that stage there on our pretend pyramid stage, because that is not real. That is not real. That's computer graphics. It was built by a dad in computer graphics. And we're going to take it down, because we're going to rebuild that pyramid stage on Friday with our children using nothing more than cardboard tubes, toilet roll holders. There's one I made a rocket from. We're going to build a pyramid stage with toilet rolls this big and also this big. So if you know anybody in a carpet shop who's got some old cardboard tubes, we want to see the whole country building pyramid stages. As Charlie said there, this is an event by the people, for the people. This is not class war. We're not against Tate Modern. We're not against the Tate. We're not against the art establishment, although we've had our emails blocked by certain art galleries just for asking a couple of questions and some favours. This is a time to come together. It's a time to focus on the 80% that we have in common here, not the 20% on the sides, because that's where all the hate, that's where all the trouble, that's where all the fighting's done. And we don't need to be fighting about that. At the moment, we need to fight and argue, and not fight, but collaborate around what we have in common. So that's what this is all about. I've been bantering for an hour, I can't believe it. I'm going to chop off now, because this is the film of what happened. That day we went to Carnival Pioneers down in Horniman's Pleasance, working with people like Gaz, people like Les Hall and Charlie Phillips.
Get your freak on, 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 get your freak on.
If you love it, holla at me one time. Holla at me if you want the wickedest wine. I know it's been a while, but baby, never mind. Cause tonight, me, I give you the whole nine, yo. Satisfaction, a every girl dream. Me love to put it on, make them wriggle and scream. Me get a call from sexy Maxine. She leave a message from me inside machine. She said,
That's your shit. People you know, me and Timberland been hot since 20 years ago. What the dealio? Now what the drillio? If you wanna battle me, then
engaging, and the kids are just so happy. I've just seen so many dads just actually engaging and at your side.
So there you are, Notting Hill Carnival Pioneers, and I'm just going to end with the opening slide that I started this with. The journey that we've come on here to Somerset to celebrate creativity, to celebrate art, and to show you a piece of art that we bought at the weekend, which is going to be one of a number of pieces of art on our Pretend Pyramid stage this weekend. We hope you'll join us. We hope you'll be part of it with your art. Your Glasgow, by you, with you, for you. Be part of it with your art. Sign up for information, to speak, to sing, or to help us in any way.
Tough in town, and loaded with dosh all the time. And now I'm out of work, I'm on the streets, begging brother, can't you spare a pound? I used to be a miner down the pit, digging for it every day. And now the grocery shop, I'm out of work, begging brother, can't you spare a quid? Yow! Building ships up there on the river Tyne. And now the closer yards out on the street, begging brother, can't you spare a pound? I used to be at Ascot every year, wearing my top hat and tail. And now I'm out of work, the